Hello, angel babies. Welcome or welcome back. My name is Trisha, and this is Trisha's Temple. I'm so happy that you're here. Today, we are meeting the Hearth Witch. She is the mother archetype. She is the nurturing caretaker. She is the part of you who would go up to somebody in the cafeteria as a child because you saw that they were sitting alone. She is the part of you who would notice that your friend was missing from your community and reach out to them. She is the embodiment of homemaking as well. She has this way of creating a sense of home and safety, familiarity, really being able to kind of soothe the nervous system wherever she is. It might not always look perfect, or she might feel like it's a bit topsy-turvy at times, but she always comes back to that sense of being centered. All right, the first question that I have is, what sense of home, belonging, or connection are you currently longing for? I think that at various stages of our lives, we have different versions of this archetype showing up, different forms of what home means to us. And that's what I want to look at. Maybe this is something to do with your physical space, a community, a sense of safety and stability, a sense of being known. Okay. We had a few fall out. Let's see what they have to say. Well, we have the hearth. Perfect. Safety, comfort, and spiritual connection. Then we have the butterfly. Transformation, joy, beauty, and transience. Rosemary, remembrance, loyalty, faithfulness. Salt, protection, banishing negativity. Okay, so if I'm looking at these all together, I'm getting the feeling that there may have been some negativity, some spaces, places, people from your past who you might feel a need to be a little bit more self-protective in this stage of your life. Create some newly established boundaries with the salt. Then there's also this energy of connecting to yourself, connecting to the aspects of your story, your journey, your core essence, and determining how you can be faithful, loyal to that part of you while remaining in connection or while building connection with people from the past or people, new connections. So this could look like, oh, I had a really tough relationship with somebody in my family, and you could have taken distance from that person. You could have created a new way of interacting with that person. And it's not that you stopped loving them. And I just saw 555, which for me is the number of change, the number of transformation, like this butterfly. So within that new way of engaging with people, you may start to notice that they are responding differently. You are responding differently. Just like the terms of engagement, the terms of connection are shifting. Maybe it feels like some leftover energy will resurface. That's very likely. That like leftover wounding, even if it's unrelated to this connection, like let's say you're building a new connection and something comes up, you're starting to learn, okay, I can write the script differently this time. I can do it in a way that is more honest to myself, that is at a pace that matches me, that is feeling more complete than perhaps past connections. Like you can show all the parts of you instead of just, oh, I'm only allowed to be this version of myself in this relationship. There may be some new relationships where you're building more safety. This might be what you're really craving, is building more safety, comfort, and spiritual connection. But I think that it's happening in tandem, like at the same time as your personal transformation. So the more that you get to know yourself, the easier it is for you to relate to other people in a way that feels nourishing to you, supportive to you. You're able to ask for your needs to be met or to set boundaries the more that you are connecting to yourself. Okay. What is your current capacity to give in relationships? One of the things that was coming up for me as I was preparing for this reading is that sometimes we create rules for ourselves that we have to be able to give at a certain level all of the time. And, you know, if not, like, oh, we're being selfish, or we're being we can just kind of create a transactional story about our relationships. And I think that that is starting to shift for you of, okay, there are some times when I'm able to give a lot and to show up in my connections. It's the washing machine. Okay, the card that came out is the Moon, phases, cycles, and intuition. Cycles. Wow, that's quite loud. I thought I paused it, but I guess it decided to do something. Yeah, so how are you relating to connection and tending to others? Are you feeling like you have a lot of energy and you're open? I think that the answer to that question is that it is a cycle. It goes in phases and cycles, and you're learning to trust your intuition of, okay, in this moment I can be open, I can give to this person this much. And in this moment, okay, I was overextending myself. I didn't have as much to give as I thought that I did. You're noticing, oh, that thing actually like really was really fulfilling. Like, yes, I was giving, but it was also like, it also gave back to me in the process. Or I was giving to that and it was draining me the entire time. Okay. You're realizing that you don't always have to be the one to bring people together or be on all the time. What does home feel like for you right now, and where do you experience that the most? Mushroom, recycling, breaking down problems. Interesting. Let's read what this one says in the book. Oh, I opened right to it. Perfect. A mushroom's main purpose is to aid in decomposition. They use enzymes to break down decaying organic matter, feeding themselves in the process. Mushrooms and other fungi are also part of the great mycelial network, a vast interconnected network of hair-like roots that transfer information to not only other fungi, but plants and trees as well. The mushroom card supports you as you break down problems into smaller issues and work to solve them separately to make incremental advances in life. The discoveries you make with every step forward can be used to nourish and enrich future projects. Have you run into a challenge that may be best addressed if broken into smaller pieces? Let's clarify how this is relating to your sense of home. What I'm like, the first thing that I'm picking up on is interdependence, places where you feel like you can reach out and ask for help, but maybe you're not getting help from just one source. So maybe it's kind of like a spreading out. Maybe there are multiple places where you feel at home, but it isn't like a oh, this one place gives me everything that I need. You have something? Let's try one more. If not, then no. Okay. Got a few. We have watering can, asking for help, and sharing burdens. Okay, that's just what I said. Yeah, it's like the I water you, you water me. Buds, new beginnings and expansion. So maybe you are in the process of kind of expanding your network of connection. That perhaps there were times when you were a lot more hermit-like or closed off to be in like a healing process, or maybe you felt unworthy of connection, and now you're slowly but surely kind of branching back out. Chamomile, gentleness, relaxation, and sleep. So I think that one of the ways that you are continuously replenishing yourself and reaffirming to yourself the places that are safe and supportive, nourishing to you is through that gentleness, the relaxation, the sleep, the little self-care moments, whatever feels like a sweet ritual to you. Maybe it's something like you really love to just like pour your magic into cooking yourself a meal. Maybe it's something like curling up with your favorite blanket and reading a book, watching your favorite show, eating a fun snack, like anything that just feels like I can make this into a moment to reconnect to myself. Okay. Now I want to pull some tarot cards for the next set of questions. Hello. Got very up close and personal there for a second. Oh. Okay. Been dealing with some health stuff, and Today is like one of the first days that I'm like starting to feel a little bit better, but definitely still not all the way better. Okay, your gift as a Hearth Witch. Oh, that's the title of this question. So on some of these I like wrote a title. What is your natural ability to create connection, warmth, or cohesion in the space you move through? Okay, so that's like back to the beginning when I was explaining who the Hearth Witch is. What are some of your natural abilities to connect people? I think that one of the strong gifts that she has is bringing people together that may not always have connected to each other. She has an ability to see people's gifts and be like, hey, I think that you and you should connect and would be supportive to each other, like that sort of thing. And it can look lots of different ways, but I think, okay, let's see. We have the World, Six of Swords, and Queen of Swords. Interesting. I think that one of your strengths is noticing the pain or like things that people have walked away from and how that is a source of empowerment for them and for you. That things that you have walked away from, things that you have let go of, have kind of become this fuel for your success and are creating this greater sense of clarity and autonomy in your life. That there may have been things in the past that felt like the chains that bind. And I think that you notice that in other people when you first meet them, of like, oh wow, like you have made it through all of these things and now you're here. Like that's so incredible. And you see that as the source of connection and a way to bring people together. It's reminding me of a conversation that I had in this philosophy club that I went to, where we were talking about how this one philosopher, I can't even remember what the person's name was, discussed how a lot of the human experience is so difficult to put into words. You just really can't do it. You need to describe it through poetry and art and dance and non-words. Non-words. No words. But at the end of the day, we all have this this language that we kind of all speak. That even if I met somebody and they didn't speak English, I could still find a way to connect to them as a human, whether it was through music or kind of like facial expressions. That there is this shared sense of humanity because we've all gone through similar things. It's part of why tarot makes sense. That the fool's journey is the journey that we're all on. And that's something that I think that you recognize, and you have a way of noticing that in other people. Yeah, highlighting the strengths of each phase of the journey too. Okay, the next question I have is, where might you be overextending yourself or trying to hold everything together on your own? This is the shadow of the Hearth Witch. She can have this tendency to feel like she has to be the caretaker for everyone else, but she isn't allowed to be taken care of. I'm thinking of something that another tarot reader said. She was like, I don't want to be daddy all the time. Sometimes I want to be baby. Okay, this is the Nine of Swords and Death. Well, thanks for showing up, cards, during the shadow. I think that you might be going through a rebirth and like a deep dive into this shadow aspect for yourself. That this might be one of your deeper wounds around being able to accept love, support, help from other people in bigger ways. Like maybe you have certain rules around where people or how people are allowed to help you. And that could look like oh yeah, like this person is allowed to support me, but there's still maybe like a bit of distance that you're keeping. And I think that you might be reconciling or working through when that is a boundary, when it is, and when it is a wall. And in my mind, a boundary is a bit more fluid and relational. It allows you to still connect to people, whereas a wall disconnects you and keeps you isolated from yourself and from other people. That maybe you're coming up against some resistance and meeting it with a bit more curiosity and softness. Having some moments to reflect, maybe on your own, maybe through dreams, maybe through some other transformational experience. If you didn't see the last video, I talked about the veil, when the veil is thin, which can occur at all sorts of times in our lives, at certain phases of our cycle, when we're tired, when we're hungry, just when our resources are low in some way, when we feel extra vulnerable, when we're sick, when we are traveling. There are all sorts of ways that the veil gets thin because there is a big change occurring, and it allows us more access into our inner world. And I think that is allowing you to see ways that you are overextending yourself, ways that you are not showing up for yourself as much as you want to. Maybe where you have a bit of a double standard, like, oh, I believe that other people are allowed to ask me for help and I'm allowed to support them in these ways, but if the roles were reversed, like, no way. Or I would feel extremely uncomfortable with that. Okay, the next question is about receiving. What is your relationship to receiving support, care, or connection from others? Which is just kind of a clarification of the last question. I pulled justice. And you may have a bit of that quid pro quo. I do something, or they do something, so I need to serve in an equal measure. I don't think that you have that as much, like, oh, I give something, so they have to give back in the exact same way. I think it's probably the opposite, where if somebody gives to you, then you feel like you have to give to them to the same level, or in a way that makes it feel balanced to you. This could be shifting a little bit, and it's not to say that you're just going to be like, well, I don't care about giving anymore. That's it, folks. I think it's more so that you're allowing it to come in different ways, or to have lag time, like we talked about with the cycles and phases of your life, that there may be moments in your life when you are ill, or just had a baby, or you are moving and somebody, it's not like, oh, well, I helped you move, so now you need to help me move, or the other way around. They helped you move, so now you need to help them move, because maybe they don't need help moving. Maybe they need help with something, but it's not going to come till later down the road. And it's less about that sort of keeping tally, or checking it off in like a box, and more about it feels, I'm able to show up in this way. It feels possible for me to stay connected to myself and to be here with you, be present with you, that this isn't going to build resentment down the line. Okay. So maybe your relationship with receiving was developed through some rigidity, and you're starting to soften that a bit. Okay, what helps you feel grounded, centered, or at home in your life, especially in just the small everyday ways? Okay, what do we got? We have the Hermit and Judgment. Well, talking about the Hermit earlier, you know, I want to get one more card actually. I think that you are somebody who tunes inward and can go quite deep into introspection. We have the Four of Swords. Yeah, you might. I think something that is like your way of creating sanctuary, your way of feeling grounded and centered, involves you exploring maybe the spiritual and the physical experience. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say that you go through something challenging, you feel dysregulated, then the way that you're coming back into yourself and creating that centered feeling again is through meeting that aspect of yourself with a bit of slowness, stillness, approaching it from the side and getting it to like come out of the shadows to tell you what it wants to say, how it's feeling. Maybe it's not as clean cut as, well, I was dysregulated and now I do X, Y, and Z and now I'm regulated. Maybe it looks more like I was dysregulated and now I'm going to learn what it was about that situation that created the dysregulation. But that might take a little bit of time for me to process. It might take a little bit of time for me to even get back into my body and to feel safe enough to meet that part. And this judgment feels like the victory of that process, but it can feel a little bit like it's slowly unfolding and unraveling. And the difference between I'm hearing like cheap thrills, like the feeling of like the fast and quick and immediate turnaround versus like more of a slow burn. gradual increase of returning, like thawing, coming back into your home and your center. Might look like an actual fire, sitting by a fire, burning something, candle, different other forms of warmth and oxytocin inducing activities. All right. Well, any final messages around the Hearth Witch and this process of returning to a sense of home and safety, feeling centered, feeling regulated? Okay, we have the Devil and we have the Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups came out first. So I think that you might have this vision of your life, of what you want, what you crave, who you're becoming, your dream story, and who you need to be in order to achieve such a life. You might feel like you are far off the mark, like you have to do this whole big long checklist of things in order to achieve this sense of inner fulfillment. Or you may have felt that in the past, that this Devil card is representing in this energy the old stories and wounding that you have to be only this one way in order to receive connection, receive love, to feel at home and feel a sense of stability and safety within yourself. And instead, you're realizing, oh, actually, there are going to be moments where I'm sitting on the beach, literally or metaphorically, legs crossed, Zen mode, feeling very fulfilled and at peace in my life. And there will be moments when I'm feeling more disconnected from myself, moments when I feel like something is missing, like I'm overwhelmed or afraid or don't know what's next. There may be moments when I feel like I'm reaching for something outside of myself, and there are moments when I feel a lot more sure of the answers that I already have within myself. And I think that this process that you're in right now is a greater acceptance of all different parts, all different versions of you. That this girl who built the castles to put her cups on is inside you as much as this devil offering the things that go bump in the night that maybe you feel a little bit scary or overwhelming, or like parts of yourself that you don't want to look at yet. And like we were talking about with this slow burn process, I think you're starting to see that it doesn't have to all happen overnight. You're not just going to go from hermit mode to having everything you've ever wanted. Because you're still unraveling. Who you are. It's making me think of, this is kind of a silly example. I grew up religious, and I feel like the way that I dressed back then is quite different from the way that I dress now. And I could not have known back then that I would be dressing the way that I am now. I couldn't have known to want that. I mean, I wanted it to some extent, but I like kept that back in the shadows in a box, locked up, because I wasn't allowed to want it. I didn't allow myself to want it. And so maybe you have something like that where you are looking back to see how your own desires and aspirations have shifted, and yet you are evolving into a person that is more you, more completely accepting of all of who you are. The versions that you have been, the versions that you are, and the versions that you will be. Things that were, things that are, and things that are yet to come. This process that you're in of building home within yourself, I think that you're starting to see ways that you have already done that wherever you've been. And it's kind of been like this when you reach that state and create a sense of home somewhere within a place that you're living, within a community, within your family, then things tend to shift again, to change. And it's not that you're completely starting over, but you're getting to know a new version of yourself and to feel more at home within that version of you, within that new environment, within that new community, that new relationship, that new work environment. And that, of course, we crave that homeostasis feeling. And it is inevitable that you'll get there again, that you'll return back to center. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for being here. Love you. Bye.